What's up, guys? Toppe here. So, unfortunately, I fucked up session 2, as in the recording. The session went fine in itself, but we did a live game review into a coaching review. So, I wanted to see how he plays and learn from that to see if I can spot any like obvious mistakes. And then after that, I kind of give him the full details in the VOD review. But unfortunately, I made it so you guys couldn't see the pen that I'm drawing on the screen with. So that was just like it became a bit pointless, I would say. Um, but honestly, I don't think it matters too much. And that video is gonna be like 2 hours long, so I think I'm saving you a lot of time here. Anyway, so in this video, it's gonna be session 3 done instead of 2 now. And that means that we're gonna be talking about the previous one that I didn't show you guys. We're just gonna be referring the game that I VOD reviewed for him, where he did some pretty fatal flaws that you guys will hear about because we are going to be discussing them in this video. This video is going to be like an interview, just catching up and trying to, see if there's anything we can fix in the moment. And then if there's something like bigger issues or something, I'm probably going to take it with him in the next one. So this whole video is just going to be like an interview or like a podcast, so you guys actually don't have to watch the video, but I would encourage you to just listen. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys are still interested in following this journey. Much love, you guys.
So yeah, I mean, you just want me to get right to it about like,
Yeah,
what
I
you
mean, I'm just like, I'm just curious, really. Like,
sure,
if you
sure.
feel like you have improved after the session, or like, how do you feel
Yeah,
like things have been going?
of course. So it's funny, you had mentioned like after your first coaching session, like it's not uncommon for someone to like have like, a game or two where it's like, oh, it's Coach Gap, I just went 18-1, and then like demote after that. It
Yeah.
actually went almost that way. Like I like had a couple good games. I was like, oh wow, is this gonna be too easy now? And then I like demoted to plat 4, and then I got back into plat 3. And I've been chilling on plat 3 for a while now. But I'd say like I definitely have a different perspective on the game. Like it's a better perspective. Like laning and just looking around the map. So like conceptually, I have a better idea at the very least. Um, I noticed initially after, my first couple of games after we had our first session or two, that like, I was doing pretty good damage. Even if I was losing, I had high kill participation, those kinds of things. And I was trying to, like you're saying, try to put myself in situations where I might not be comfortable with them, but at least I'm trying to do damage, you know what I mean? Um, rather than the opposite where I'm just like being way too picky with my fights and, not really doing any damage. So that was the case for like a good while, but I've noticed a trend lately. I've kind of like regressed in the sense that I'm not as like my kill participation's not been really great, and like as a result, I just don't have a lot of damage. Like a lot of my games recently, I'm not even first or second, and I don't know if I attribute that to like if I'm just not looking for the fights, if I'm too focused on farming, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm not proud of my damage rate. The last couple of days. Um, Definitely some games, I will admit, I probably tilted or played emotionally, so it's hard to look at it super, um, platonically. But I think that's something I'm struggling with is like when I am out of lane, you know, the objective either of farming a lane versus always looking to be part of the team fight. You know, um, does that make
Yeah.
any sense?
Yeah, it does.
So,
I mean, what you're really describing to me, it just sounds like you maybe have an issue with when to rotate out of bot lane, and you know,
uh-huh,
because it sounds
yeah,
like this is like really common for people to like have hit a like low kill participation if they stick in bot for too long,
mm-hmm.
um, and sometimes they'll have really high farm because of it, because there's no one down here, so it's just fucking standing here farming on my own.
Right,
Uh,
right,
but which is usually a reason to low kill participation and low damage. So that could be one
mm-hmm.
reason for sure. I mean, it's hard to say without do you have a specific game you think about, or are you
Like in
like,
my matches tree, you mean?
yeah,
I have to like I have to go through them. Before I get to that, do you want me to like talk about other points, or we want to focus on this immediately? What
I
is
mean, do you
your?
have other points? Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, so I mean, this is a trend in my League of Legends just gameplay. I notice. I mean, this might just be player behavior, but like when I lose games, I very rarely just lose one and then I just go back to winning. It's like I feel like I lost streak or win streak a lot. And I don't instant queue after I like finish a game usually. I like take a few minutes, kind of collect my thoughts and everything, get up maybe. So it's not like I'm rage queuing it. It's just like I noticed like in the like especially the last week, most of the time I'm either winning a bunch in a row or losing a bunch, and I don't know if there's really anything to be made of that, or I just to just play for improvement. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on that, or if there's anything to be you know.
I mean, it could be mental, like just like the whole idea of like, well, this is what usually happens. So you already like, so if you lose one game, you're already in the mindset of I'm gonna be losing the next one, and then it's gonna happen
Hmm.
because you're so focused on actually losing the next one. Well, at the same time, when you're like winning, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm fucking smurfing today, and then you're just actually smurfing, and then you're just winning. Like that's
Yeah.
something that actually could be a thing because like mindset has a lot to do with the game. So if you have like a really shit mindset when you're going into a game, then there's a
Yeah.
bigger chance you lose the game for that. Like,
Hmm.
just in the back of your head being like, yeah, I'm gonna lose this game according to the stats, which is like, so you can't really like I think that's a pretty big factor. Like you can't really think about if you're going to die or not.
Hmm.
Or not die, but like lose. If you're going to play bad and lose because of it, or because you've been playing bad, or because you've been
Yeah.
losing.
Hmm.
So that would
Yeah.
probably be like, you know, one of the bigger reasons why. Otherwise, it's like pretty hard to tell. There could also be other reasons, that are
Yeah.
more individual.
Yeah. Because like I had noticed in the past, I would like, I'd lose a game. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get in the next game, immediately and forget about the last game. So I had stopped doing that. I started taking like 15, 20 minute breaks in between, watching the replay and like, I mean, it helps. It definitely helps me cool off. Like I will certainly play better than I would have if I immediately queued. But at the same time, like, I mean, I can't ignore the fact that like when I look at my match history, so many of my games it's like either loss streaks or win streaks, and it's like there's not a lot of in between. So it's just a trend I noticed, so
Yeah, like
I
I
think
mean, I think when you put it like this, it's just like, oh no, I lost what I was going with this. Wait, what? Can you say one more time what you just said?
like just when I look at the trend of my match history where if I win games I keep winning, or if I lose like
Oh no,
keep losing
okay,
the
I got it. So it's about you said the 15-minute break in between games.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay, when you do those breaks, it's actually like mega pointless if you're still onto that game. Like if you're still like focusing on that
Okay.
game because you're still in the mindset of you just lost that game. So if you're
Okay.
just sitting like 15 minutes trying to pinpoint either your teammate's mistake or your own mistakes, I don't think you're
Hmm.
actually taking a break. You're just
Okay.
you know you. I mean, if it's helpful, keep doing it. But you also just got to be aware that just because you're out of the game, that doesn't necessarily mean you're taking a break if you're still focusing in
Right.
the on the game.
Uh-huh.
Because that was like something I struggled with myself, where I was like, I tried to convince myself that taking breaks would actually help me. But then, I was like, okay, there's gonna be 10 minutes before I queue again. But these whole 10 minutes, I would just think about why I lost this game, how much LP
Uh-huh.
I'm down, and it's just like I just go into the next game and I'm already tilted just because I just spent 10 minutes thinking about that I'm LP down and shit.
Right.
So
Hmm.
so you also have to like, if you go with that, you have to kind of make sure that okay, you're actually resetting mental and you're not just sitting figuring out why you're losing the game, because then it's
Yeah.
pointless. Like it's good to VOD
Mhm.
video, don't get me wrong, but like
Yeah.
if you're just sitting and trying to pinpoint like teammates' mistakes and stuff, then it's completely useless.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Do you think I know, is there any obvious alternative to like if you're not gonna watch the VOD or not gonna think about the game, like is there any alternative on like practically to like after you lose a game, you
Just
know,
watch like if you like just chill for 10 minutes, like watch a YouTube video or something. You
just
could
like
do
something
that.
unrelated pretty much? Like
Yeah, you could do
okay.
that. Go do the dishes,
Yeah,
like really do whatever, like but of course you
sure.
should also keep watching VODs, like, so I
Um
mean, one of the things I usually say is I don't think you should review every game because then I think you're gonna burn yourself out on reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you
Right,
should
right.
review games where you feel like, okay, it's maybe necessary I actually go watch this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Mm-hmm.
you don't actually have to review the whole game either. You just have to review the part that you
Yeah.
think is important. So if you're like,
Okay.
okay, what happened from laning phase? Like, why did we lose? Well, you just watch laning phase. You don't have to watch the 30 minutes after that game if you
Mm-hmm.
feel like the game was lost in laning phase.
Okay. That's pretty helpful. I appreciate that. I think that'll, like I said, I'm very open to different approaches or ideas of like how I currently like even just queue the game or like so those things like I'm willing to make that adaptation. So going forward, I'll try that. Um, a question. I have a lot of questions, so I don't know how much of this you want me to just
No, you like
ask.
this. Honestly, this is third session. No, I had not planned anything. I just wanted us to like talk about how things have
Okay.
gone. So you can
Yeah,
ask.
yeah. So something in a couple of my games. So like let's say I'm like maybe I'm winning lane, but it's not like I'm smurfing on them like or maybe we're going even, but my top laner's like they're just killing the enemy top laner on spawn, like they're just gapping them so hard. So the game ends up being, they just end up pretty much solo carrying. When it gets to the point where we like, let's say we end up taking the enemy tower or the bot lane, but my top laner is up there inhibitor, you know, do I like like, how do I use that effectively to end the game instead? Like, do I just have to follow them around like like a dog and just
Like the
make
top
sure that,
laner.
yeah, like if the top lane is super fed and he's like 1v9,
Yeah, you
how,
should.
what?
Okay, you should never follow your top laner as an AD carry. Like
Okay,
if
yeah,
he sits on a side lane, you should let him be on a side lane on his own.
okay,
Like if he
yeah,
wants to
yeah,
split push, and if he has taken top, tier 3 tower already, and you have only taken one tower in bot lane,
yeah,
maybe you guys should, not swap, but he should be bot lane and you should be mid lane then.
yeah. Hmm.
So you could ask him if he wants to go bot lane. But there's also scenarios like, so let's say Drake is spawning him soon, then you could also send him top lane to try and pull someone up there. Because if he's really fat and he's already taken 3 towers, he'll probably just win the 1v1, which means that the enemy team will have to send more than one person to deal with him,
Yeah.
or they will just lose their base. So that's like
Hmm.
a shitty situation no matter what for them. So either they send 2 persons,
Yeah.
or if they don't send any, he can possibly end the game if you guys can just stall their recalls. And if they do send one person, he should just kill that guy, and you guys can possibly win the 4v4, depending on how you guys are looking versus the other 4.
Hmm.
And if there's multiple, you guys should definitely win the 4v3, right? So
Yeah, right.
that's kind of like, you gotta utilize your top lane as split pushing, like if he's really fat. And
Okay.
not just go to him, because if you go to him, you're basically griefing him.
Yeah. Yeah, because I asked this because I'm normally trying to do what you're saying. Like, I just feel bad because at the end of the game, I have like 10k damage, this guy like 30k, and he's like, it looks like I did nothing, which, I mean,
I
it kind
mean,
of did compared to him.
yeah, but it's also okay to be carried. Like you don't have to
Okay.
look at your damage and be like, oh god, I did nothing.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
sometimes like your teammates will just be fucking faker, and then your job is really just to not die
Okay.
and do your part.
Right. So that's actually that makes me think of a good question that like you're saying. So there are games, let's say I'm trying to make a lead, but let's say we're winning pretty good, but it's not because of bot lane. Like we're winning bot, but that's more because we have a better team. Is it strategically like would you play the game in a way that like you're just gonna play safe so that way, your team or like you play with your team so that you like, you win these fights because you're ahead? Or like are you ever gonna take risks in lane when your team's super ahead? Like how do you approach that? You know what I mean? Um
Yeah, like generally, I would say I would play the bot lane almost the same way, even if my top lane is winning really hard, because at the end of the day, it's a solo queue game, so you can't, like, I try to get my own control in the game as well. So, like, if he's really fat, yeah, that's nice. Like, I won't take super risks, right? Like, if you're really far behind, I might take plays where it's like, 30% chance it works, but if it works, it's really
mhm.
good. But like, if let's just say it's a normal game and my top lane is hard stomping, well then, like I should just know that I should play normally like I would, and try not to die obviously to the enemy jungler, and apply my
Mhm.
pressure in bot lane. So because if he's applying his in top lane, then we should also be able to do our stuff in bot lane. because otherwise the
Yeah.
enemy jungler is just gonna start playing around him, and then he's gonna have a hard time snowballing, and we're gonna do nothing in bot lane because we're thinking he's just gonna win the game for us.
Okay.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
also like if he dies, like 2 times or something, and he all of a sudden froze, and we have played safe all game, then we're just standing there and being like, yeah, okay, well, he was our win con,
Mm-hmm.
so now we just step forwards, like, you know.
Yeah.
So I would play the game the same way. Like I would take risks and stuff, but obviously
Yeah.
I don't wanna make losing gameplays. Like
Okay.
obviously I don't want to do that.
Right.
Like I'm not trying to grieve my team, but I still want to
Mm-hmm.
have impact in the game.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then there's like another scenario is if you lost your lane, then I would just play ultra safe and just hope that I get carried.
Okay.
So if
Yeah, like
I'm
yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's like if I'm behind, then I don't see a reason to play at all, like for risks, because the chance of
Mm-hmm.
you falling further behind is much bigger. And if your top laner and mid laner is winning, then I don't see why you would do that.
Okay. That's pretty helpful. That's like that comes up like every now and then. You got those teams that are smurfing, and you're like, what do what do I make of the situation bot lane? Um, and tying into like the winning lane, losing lane part. So like with Caitlyn, for example, I noticed like the first couple of days after we the coaching session that like I was doing pretty well in lane, and I was like, I feel like I was, getting plates, and we would rotate and everything. The last couple of days, it's kind of been rough. I feel like I wasn't winning lane enough, or maybe we were winning lane, and then like the jungle would, I don't know, he would like come at a dragon fight and then like triple kill us, and then we just kind of lose. Um, so I don't know. I don't really know what to even ask about that. It's just I will say, lately I haven't been really happy with my laning a lot of my games. Like I don't know, like with Kai'Sa specifically, let's say, like with her, obviously, she's not much of a lane bully like Caitlyn, right? So I don't know, like in my mind, I'm like, okay, if I come out even or ahead in that lane, that's a win for me. But like I don't know, like with winning in a lane, should you always be like, I should win lane? Just with it being plat, like should I always that be always my goal? With Caitlyn, I know she's a lane bully, so I get that. But like maybe with Jhin or Kai'Sa, do you have any like perspective on how I should approach the lane, or like should I just always want to be winning lane? Obviously, you don't want to lose, you know what I mean. But at the same time,
No, but
what
like
is the
I get what you're like. Okay, but there's matchups where you never win, basically. If the
okay?
enemies are just slightly human, so
Yeah,
it's like for example when you're playing Jin into Draven, you should never win that
yeah.
because I see you did that recently, and it's like
It's funny because we were winning early and then we trolled.
right, yeah, like, but so see the thing is like,
Mm.
and this is I guess much easier in lower elo than others in higher elo, but like just because you shouldn't be winning doesn't mean you can't be winning because
Yeah,
we're playing in an elo that's far from perfect, so.
yeah,
If you just play like correct and capitalize on enemy mistakes, yeah, there'll be games you probably should be winning your lane, even though normally you shouldn't be winning this matchup.
mm-hmm.
But there's also gonna be games where you're just gonna be like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I can do here. Like I'm just losing.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
And I mean those games where it's usually like either you really need jungle help or you're just gonna try and CS to your best and hope that your team are doing well. Like if your jungler doesn't
Mm.
gank whatsoever, you would hope that he at least ganked top lane or mid lane and they got a kill or something, right?
Yeah,
And then you just gotta play the survival game.
yeah. Okay. Something else with Caitlyn specifically. I don't know if this is like I haven't looked too much into matchups, but man, when I play against like Sivir, dude, I have a hard time because I know I outrange her, but it's like okay, so I want to push the wave in and get plates, but she out pushes the wave, so it's like I feel like I can never poke her, even though surely I just dodge the Q and auto tech her, but it never ends up going that way. Like I had a game I don't know, it's like a week ago that I played against a Sivir Karma, and like I just got crushed, man. And this guy like he would just push the wave in, and I couldn't push against him, and then I'm
Okay,
just like
but
dying at it. What's up?
yeah, okay, so like already there I can already tell that that's a lane you shouldn't be like having prior in because you're saying
Hmm.
Karma and Sivir, like so basically I would say almost every game when you're versus a Karma and another like just decently good at pushing AD carry, you're not gonna be having prior in that lane because Karma has so
Hmm.
much like presence in early game in bot lane. So in such lanes, you're literally gonna like you said, get just stomped if you try to take prior over them, because they will just walk up, they'll just walk past the wave and just start hitting you, and you're just gonna be like,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So in those kind of games, you just have to be really good with wave management and be like, okay, so maybe even level first wave, I'm just not gonna walk up at all. I just soak the first 3 minions from XP, and then they build up a bigger wave, and you try to last hit it and fin it, and then maybe it slow pushes
Yeah.
into you, and then you can freeze. And if you can't freeze, well, unlucky, but then you want to go for a neutral wave and repeat, right?
Okay.
So I think it's just like, yeah, you just have to understand which matchups you're allowed to have prior in and which matchups you're not allowed to have prior in when it comes to that.
Right. Okay. Because like in my mind, I was like, I'm playing Caitlyn, so I get prio. Like that was a lot of times it's the case, but there are times when it's not, like you're saying, and I have to accept that just because I'm playing Caitlyn doesn't mean I just have prio, right? Like that's not how it works. Um,
Yeah, I would say in most games you definitely should have on Caitlyn, but
yeah, yeah.
there will be
But
games where you
some,
just can't. Like, it really depends on your support too and their support. It's just not just the
okay.
AD carry matchup. But like,
Yeah, yeah.
so like if you have a melee support into a karma, you'll never have prio. You should never have prio at least.
Right, right.
Yeah. Versus like something like Siva and karma.
Okay. Um, Something else. This happens. I don't know. I don't know how much this happens at your elo, but like I want to get level 2 first, so I hit the minions, blah blah blah. But there are some lanes the enemy, they just start. They want to 1v1 like all in you, and it's like usually what I end up doing is I end up fighting them back. Sometimes I win it, sometimes I'll lose it. But it's like, are you just kind of forced? Like if they just force that on you, like with Jin, like I'm pretty comfortable trading with Jin. He's like my highest, like most played champ. But like, is there an approach you have to like level 1 fights? Where they just full on aggro you? They don't even caring about level 2. They just want to fight you. And I don't know if you have any like thoughts on
I
that
mean,
or
it's super matchup dependent.
okay,
Whether or not you can do it, but like I would say in most scenarios, you can probably fight them back in your wave and you'll win it.
yeah, like in your way,
And also if you heal before the ignite. So if you feel like they're gonna all in,
yeah,
you also have to heal before the ignite.
uh-huh, okay,
But
yeah,
yeah, like if they're just walking past the wave, yeah, you can probably just fight them back, depending on
okay,
your combat. Like it's so hard to say because if you have like a fucking Yumi, then you
yeah,
probably can't do it.
sure, sure. You gotta be like, can't be
Yeah, if
stupid
you're
about it.
playing
You have
like
to
Jin
like,
Yumi, then it's a bit
yeah,
weird to early level 1. That seems pretty
right,
shit.
mm-hmm, okay. That's yeah. I have to think about the matchups, because it's not uncommon that I'll win those fights when they just pick the fight for me. But like, I don't know. You'd be surprised how much it happens where people just run up to you. I don't even know if they're thinking about that matchup. Maybe they are, but it's
Like I
like,
mean, they could also like if they just run at you, you can also just hit them back once and then pull
yeah,
back and let
and
them
then
get
like
wave aggro and then kite
yeah,
them around like that because they should lose a lot of HP for
okay,
doing that.
yeah, yeah, okay, for sure. I agree with that. Um, I think is there any other questions? So something else, like when I take the let's say I win lane pretty well, I take the bot turret, and I ping that I want to go mid lane, okay?
Yeah.
And like I even type it to the mid laner, and they just don't rotate, like they will not leave mid. Do I just keep going back bot? Like is it objective based, with Herald and all that? What if there's no Herald or Dragon up in the next minute and my mid lane doesn't want to rotate? Do I just keep going bot lane? Like what is because it happens where I like I'm so big bot lane and I want to go mid, take tower. It's just is
I
there
mean,
any?
do you usually rotate when that tower's up or down in bot? Like is it after you take it or you just when you're fed you want to rotate?
Uh, After like the tower's gone.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's usually when you want to do it, and then I mean,
Mm.
it highly depends on like objectives and I would say like matchup. So if they have like assassins mid slash jungler, then you absolutely cannot go back in bot lane.
Hmm.
If that tower is down, because you can't walk past that, you're just gonna die. But if
Yeah.
the Drake is spawning like relatively soon, you could like just clear the jungle or something if there's
Hmm.
nothing to do, and go farm the bot wave when it's pushed back to you, and then go Drake or something like that. Or you can look to swap the top if there's no Drake up. Like there's some mid
Yeah.
laners that just can't side either, and I also tried it. It's pretty rare, I would say, that my mid laners refuse to move to side
Yeah.
lane. But when it does
Okay.
happen, I just try to like get gold somewhere else. So I'll take like
Yeah.
it's kind of like hurting the jungler, but I'll try and take like every fucking jungle camp available, and
Yeah.
play around mid lane myself. So I'm like hovering mid while taking jungle camps because I don't want to go back in bot lane either. So it's kind of
Yeah.
it's weird.
Because it happens where like, or another like similar circumstance where like, let's say like, I'm like pretty good CS in lane, we take bot turret, and I want to go mid, but they won't let me go mid. So then like I'll go into a side lane and then I'll just die. And it's like, maybe I'll even ask my support to come with me, but there's some champions they don't really care if your support's there. And it's like, do like I don't really want to go on a side lane. I'll try to take jungle camps if I can. It just feels like I'm not really like I'm so strong and I want to be able to push that advantage, right? This isn't in every game, right? I'm just saying there's some games that this happens, and
Yeah, I mean, you
it's
could
kind
also
of
just go mid. That could also be an
just
option.
yeah, just go mid anyway. Okay,
Yeah, and then just try siege the tower.
all right. Yeah, I mean that's helpful. I mean, and with the jungle tracking early, I think I've definitely gotten better with that. Like level, like the first 3 or 4 minutes. There are sometimes I get caught off guard, but I've been like more cautious about that at least. So I,
Right.
I don't feel like I feel like if I'm dying early, it's probably either one of two things. We either like lost a 2v2 and it happens, or like we fought over Scuttle Crab and we like way overcommitted and I ended up dying for that. Um, I don't know if you have any opinion on that with fighting for Scuttle Crab. Like, if you like, I try to be there for there. Like, I try to get prio so I can help my jungle out. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times, like, it
I
helps
mean,
them
I like
snowball.
getting prior too, but then if you
Yeah.
can't get prior, I wouldn't go. Like,
Okay.
basically, like if you are not
Yeah.
first, I wouldn't really go. Except
You win.
except you feel like you can turn the fight if you go, right? But if you feel
Okay.
like it's just gonna be like, yeah, okay, maybe I can save them if I go, then nah, I wouldn't even go. Like,
Okay.
I would just ping them back and not move because like the thing is like if you start pinging them back while you're moving towards them, they're not falling back. Then they're
Yeah.
not falling.
Yeah.
You have to like not come at all and then ping them back
Okay.
while.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely will say though, like, although I've been decent at tracking them early, it's usually like the mid laning phase, like 5 to 10 minutes, where like I'll be strong, and then for some reason I'll just forget about the jungle, and then we'll like fight 2v2, and like I don't know, it's like we won't quite kill them, and then the enemy jungle shows up, and then I'll die, and it's like so bad because I give them a shutdown, and then we're like then we kind of just lost lane, and it's weird. I don't
Yeah,
know if that's like
sometimes you just gotta not fight if you're ahead. Like if you don't know where the
uh
jungle is, that's often actually better. If you're like, you just
okay.
don't want to give the shutdown.
Hmm. Yeah, that has been a number of my games where like I get a lead early, and then like a Hecarim. There was a game the other day. Hecarim like came and triple killed his bot lane, and we had like pretty good lead early, but then they just like I kind of lost my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I started playing like emotionally, and I let it get the best of me. But it's like to prevent that situation in the first place. If you're gonna 2v2, it's like you should always consider where the jungle is, right? Like it's not you just turn your brain off. We're ahead. We just fight them. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah, like yeah, you should basically consider all the time, or
Okay.
you could be, before you fight.
Okay. Yeah, I
Especially
mean,
like the thing is it becomes more important to think about it when you're ahead because you don't want to give the shutdown. So like
mm-hmm.
there's a lot of fights that I don't take where I'm like if I'm like a 700 gold shutdown just because I don't want to risk it because the thing is like me killing them will usually result in nothing besides me getting
Yeah,
the extra score. While if I
yeah,
die, it might lose us the game. So it's
okay, yeah. Um, One more thing on the losing lane. So let's say I lose lane pretty bad, and then the enemy bot lane they go mid to take my mid tower. Should I always try to go mid to match them, or is like if I'm so behind where I don't have mythic in like minutes, but I need gold so bad, do I just like go in a side lane? Like I know
yeah.
it's
Often,
situational.
I mean, often if they take your tower and go mid, you would follow them mid
Yeah,
because your jungler. Oh no, because your mid laner can't respond to them being there. Like
yeah,
Like it's also easier for you to be in mid lane when you're behind because it's much harder to dive on mid than it is in bot lane because
Okay.
your team is usually
Yeah.
around in the jungle and shit, so it's a bit more risky to make a mid lane dive than it is to make a bot lane dive.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
you and your support being mid lane, and then you just send your mid lane and bot lane.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah. And these things like I just like these have been issues that like I feel like like when I watch replays, like I'm like I see this happen time and time again. So it's helpful to like talk about it with you. Of course, it's different to put it into practice, but just hearing like how to approach these things, um, pretty helpful. With the starting items, that was, I mean, that's been pretty helpful with Dwarven's Blade versus Longsword. I think I got that done pretty well. And in terms of like laning with following up, with my sorts of support CC, I'm getting better at that. It takes practice. Like position yourself in a way that like when you're like I even had a game where there was a Zerath on my team, my support, and they hit their whatever. What is his?
The
Is
E.
it his W? Is E? Is he okay? Like he eats somebody, and I was ready to put a Caitlyn, but there was another game I wasn't ready for. Like a support engage. My support engage, and I was like, oh man, like that was literally a kill. I think it just takes practice, to like.
Yeah, I mean all of this takes practice. So
Mhm.
uh, it's all like a there's a lot of stuff to learn in platinum, so
Yeah.
there's a lot to practice.
Yeah.
And I would say like
So.
looking at your OPGG, like one mistake that I kind of spot that you're doing is you're buying a lot of control wards. Like
Okay,
I
so
would
you think too
honestly say
many?
too many, yeah, because like
Yeah.
for example this Caitlyn game that you lost,
Oh, well, I
uh,
did buy 10. Oh my gosh.
you bought 10, yeah,
That's a lot of
which
gold.
is that's 750 gold in
Yeah.
control wards. So
What
actually
happened this
I have
game?
like the saying that is that when you're losing it becomes less worth to buy control wards than when you're
Okay.
winning. Because when you're
Yeah.
losing, they're not gonna give a shit about your control. They're gonna walk right on top of it and just destroy it right as you place it. That's how your
Yeah,
control wards
yeah.
go. That's why you bought 10, because they kept destroying it, so you kept buying a new one, and they kept destroying it, and you bought a new one. It's
Yeah.
just on repeat. Like, that's why you have 10 control wards this game.
Mhm.
Uh, like, I don't mind your other games where you have, like, I would say 5 at almost max. Like there's still probably be games where you buy more. I can actually look at my own really quick and see how many I buy because I don't really
Mhm.
know. But I would
Yeah.
guess like 4 to 5 is like my average, but I might even average
Yeah.
less. So yeah, looking at my own games, I would say I average 3 from looking at these games.
Hmm.
Which is a pretty big difference because I'm pretty sure you average like 5, maybe 4.
Yeah. Mhm.
Uh, it's just a lot of game. It's a lot of money to put out as an AD carry on wards.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what I do with my wards is I often like if my let's say I'm on the side where there's a tri-bush in bot lane, right? So if my supporters already pink ward the tri-bush from our side, the
Mhm.
triangle bush,
Yeah.
um, then I'll if we're like having like playing like let's say Caitlyn, right? And we're having perma-pri, we're permanently just pushing them in, then I'll buy one pink ward for the bush and river as we're permanently doing it because we're just non-stop pushing.
Yeah.
And then later on, I might get a pink ward for the Drake, and then I might also get a pink ward for the Baron, and then I might get a pink ward for just on hold in case I need
Yeah.
it for like a bush fight or something. That's usually all the pink wards
Mhm.
I'll get. Like I'm not
Right.
just gonna keep buying pink wards if they destroy it. And like especially if
Yeah.
I'm losing, then I might buy 0 pink wards because I'm like, yeah, this is pointless.
Mhm.
Like yeah, you can put a super safe ward, but the chances of it being useful is probably also like much less than if you're putting a ward
Yeah.
like really safe.
I got you. Okay, I mean that's a simple fix. I definitely have
That
to make
is a
sure
pretty
that I
simple fix.
yeah, I just don't buy as many if because I definitely do spend like once upon a time I think maybe I didn't buy many and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy them like I'm support and I wouldn't buy like two, but I would I feel like I even bought more once upon a time, so no, but I can definitely do that. So that's helpful. I just like lately I'd say I'm just not happy with my like my kill participation or my damage. Like I feel like even when I win games, like I don't know, I don't feel like my like I'm really I don't know if I'm not looking for enough fights or if I'm just too focused on farming out. Like we're talking about outside of lane, right? Like after the
Yeah,
lane ends.
I think I think you just my guess would be that you don't rotate correct.
Okay.
Uh, and then I mean from the game we reviewed earlier, where you played Jin, it also seemed like
Yeah.
you're not ready for a lot of action. Like
Mm-hmm.
especially with that Evelyn, she would permanently open on people, and you are not really ready with your W alt.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready for what other people are doing, like
Yeah.
and be there.
Okay.
Which is why AD carries are usually pretty early on already swapping to mid lane, so they are in the fights. They're there,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Right, right. Yeah, and that ties in something else with like, let's say I'm strong, but like my jungle is really strong, or it might be my mid, I don't know. Should I like, is it kind of depends on the matchup, like should I always be looking for something like an Evelyn, or should I like if there's a stronger member on my team, should I always be looking to kind of like make sure I follow up on their plays? Because there was a game that I had a Yone that was my mid laner. What was it? There was a game where it was a I remember I game out a oh yeah, this game. I went 16 and 14. This guy went 18 and 3. I was kind of like mentally defeated, but then I was like, you know what? This guy is popping off, so I'm gonna make sure I'm there for every time he fights. And it actually made a difference. So I don't know, like if there's a strategy to trying to make sure
That
you're
is, I mean,
involved with.
that is good. Like that's like I would not say it's bad to do that, depending on how early on you're doing it, because you also don't
Yeah.
want to like like. There's also a difference between like being ready for the fights and team fights and whatever, and then
Mhm.
just fucking walking to the guy and sharing XP with him for half of the game.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, then
Uh,
you're just like making him unable to carry.
yeah.
So
Okay.
that's basically why fuck like mid laners are having a mental breakdown when the Yumi jumps in the minute 4 because the AD carry sucks, because then they just ruin their fucking lane as well.
It's funny. I had a Kaisa game where like it was like 2 days ago that I had a Yumi support. This is I won't talk about this too much, but like I went to like go shadow my jungle for Scuttle Crab or like to get a ward out or something. And so the enemy team is Samira Nautilus. And the Yumi is just chilling the lane, she gets off of me and she dies. And then she like max pings me, gets off me, and goes and sits on my jungle the whole game. Like
Yeah,
I don't even know what to do about that because like
you
I
can't do
my,
anything
my
about that. You just like that's just
yeah.
like that's happens in every elo. I think I had 3 games today where my support just decided, yeah, fuck this, and then he just dipped from bot lane,
Yeah.
started griefing somewhere else. That's
Yeah.
just people having shit mental. Like, and in the first
Okay.
place, like a Yumi should never be solo in lane. If they're sitting solo in
Uh,
lane there, then they're griefing most likely.
I know.
Depending on if you had a wave on the tower and you're just like sitting in the
Yeah.
jungle, then I think maybe it's a bit on
Uh,
you. Like,
yeah, yeah. But no, we were pushed out. Like we had Prio, and she like got off me for some reason, and we're just like hitting the wave. I don't remember what happened exactly, but it was like it's hard not to tell because what I did is to like I seen Double Lift do this before, where like he was on Twitch and he would look to like he'd be like a almost a support in himself. He would go to other lanes to just try to get random picks because they wouldn't expect it, and it worked for a little while. Like I was getting shutdowns and stuff, but eventually they just kind of snowballed because their mid was like super huge, and I think our team was mental boom. Anyway, that was a random game. I guess you just can't do much about that. But that's a French case. I think most of the time that doesn't happen, but
yeah, I mean,
sometimes.
I think it's also a difference between just going random places and hoping for kills and actually having a plan slash idea behind it.
Yeah.
Like you could. It sounds like you're just lucky and found random shutdowns.
Hmm.
Where if you watch Double Lift, he may not be saying anything, but he probably knows a bit more why he's there exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, because for me it would be like a position like I feel like they're out of position, so I should kill them kind of thing. That's really the only thing. I'm not thinking, I don't know what other things to consider in that situation. In terms of like making picks or rotation. I don't know, maybe that's just purely situational, but
yeah, like like I said, like I think it just running around the map looking for shutdowns can be a bit.
Mm.
I don't know. Like it seems a bit like you're just flipping the coin here to see if
Mm.
they're coming. Because like when you're just sitting somewhere waiting for someone, you're also losing gold. So if they don't come, you just
Oh,
lose a lot.
okay. No, no, sorry. I meant like I see this York pushed up, for example, and he's like at our tier, like a tier two. So I see him there and I run there to kill him. That's like what I'm referring to. Is that what you thought I meant, or you mean like waiting?
Yeah, like just sitting somewhere
Mm.
out of like some like I don't know. There's some people when they get
Yeah.
tilted, they just sit in a random bush and hope someone goes by or
Oh
something.
no, I don't really like to do that. I just meant like because I couldn't be bot lane because they were just gonna kill me 1v2. I was trying to go somewhere else so that way.
Right. Like, yeah. I mean that's
Uh,
actually not bad. Like if you're in a 1v2
mm,
and you feel like you're just gonna get dove, well, rotating mid could be even better
mm,
because
okay.
often you're
Mhm.
just gonna be either dying or standing really far behind. You're not getting XP in bot lane.
Yeah.
So
Right. Right. I'm trying to think. If there's anything. I don't know. Is there anything that like? I know just looking up match history is only one part of the thing, but like, is there anything besides control word? So like, I know we've talked about participation and damage, but like, anything that stands out to you, or like, oh, this seems like a
like
glaring issue.
from everything you said, then to me the biggest flaw definitely sounds like rotating. Like
Yeah,
it
rotation.
just sounds like it just sounds like you really lack like rotating because of the way like you're explaining that you have low damage and you have low kill participation. So from
Yeah,
that itself, it's just like okay, if you put two and two together, that means you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, or like not as in you're dying, but you're just not there. Like you're never in the
yeah.
fight. So you'll like see
Mm.
yourself in fucking you'll farm bot lane and then you're like, oh fuck, they're having a mid lane team fight. Why am I
Yeah.
bot lane?
Yeah, there's so many games that like, oh, I need to be there right now, and I'm in bottling.
Yeah.
Like that happens. That definitely, like, at least I'm able to recognize that, but it's one thing to recognize it versus actually being there because
Yeah, I mean, it
it,
doesn't really make a difference if you just recognize it in the moment
yeah,
every
it's like,
time.
yeah, exactly.
You
So,
have to predict fights
mhm,
more, and like as I said, like just don't be in bot lane more. Like as an AD carry,
mm,
like you, I would say you pretty much like thrive to get out of bot lane. Except
all
you're
right.
hard winning bots. Like if you're hard stomping bots, yeah, you like to be down here and getting more and more fat. But if you don't, if you're just going somewhat even, you want to get mid as soon as possible. But you also
Uh-huh.
don't want to go mid so early that you fuck your mid laner.
Yeah.
So it's like
All right.
that's why the often it's like you either you if you're like hard winning your lane, you should be able to take your tower pretty fast, and then you can go mid lane and try and take that
Uh,
tower, or be around for objectives, be ready for invades with your jungler, stuff like that. It's also like
okay.
you could also just push in the bot lane if you're really fat, and then just go mid lane, for a roam or something,
Yeah. No, for
catch
sure.
someone off guard.
Yeah, and then you kill the mid laner, and the enemy mid is so mad at their team because they're like, "Why is
Yeah,
the enemy bot lane here?" You know?
like I had a game, I think today it was actually, where me and the support went mid, and the jungler was with us. So we dove the enemy mid lane at level 3 as 4 people. Like, I
Yeah.
can imagine that guy was fucking fuming. Just
Yeah.
sitting there like, where the fuck is my team? 4 people mid at level 3. Yeah, we're done. FF, that's probably what he was thinking.
Right, right. No,
uh,
I feel you, man. I feel you.
so,
Um,
yeah. I kind of like stuff like that. So I think just from going from this whole conversation, like, I would obviously buy less pink wards.
yeah.
Um, like I think the easiest way to do that, or like it's not hard to do it, but like also have your pink wards is like just use your pink wards for if you can put one in, like let's say you're on the triangle bush side, then you can
Hmm.
it's fine that you have it in the triangle bush if you're not behind in lane, because if you're
Yeah.
behind a lane they're gonna permaclear it. But if you're
Right,
not
right.
behind a lane, then it's fine to have one up there and then have one in your inventory. Don't buy two at a time. It's just like if you have an
No,
extra
oh
gold later
yeah,
on,
no.
then you can also have one in case you guys call Drake and there's no water, you have your ward. So you hold
Yeah.
it for like objectives. So if you guys want to do Baron, well, you have a pink ward for Baron.
Hmm. Okay.
So, or if you're making a play, if you're invading, you can also use it. But don't just
Hmm.
randomly place it all the time.
Yeah.
Because your job is really not to clear vision with them or
Mm-hmm.
put them in your own jungle. I would also say it's not really your job either. It's mostly
Yeah.
for objectives or making plays.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
Um,
just try and keep in mind don't buy more than 5. Then that should be
yeah.
really simple. And then find a
Okay.
good way to use those 5.
Yeah. So pink wards, looking for what was you were saying? Like looking for or rotations. So I guess like is the best way to anticipate that like is it just always considering what can happen or like pay attention to your teammates or enemies? Like is there an easy way to be like, hey, or does that just come with experience? I don't know. Like
Like
being
when to
able
put
to
it or what? Or where to put
no, like
it?
sorry, I'm talking about like rotations, like being at the
Oh,
right place at the right time. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it comes with you just trying it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
like, so, the more you fuck up, the more you learn, this is not a good one. And then you won't do it again.
Yeah.
Uh, there's some lanes that will be harder to rotate in than others, like if they have really fast clear. You can also over rotate, which is also really bad. You can
Yeah.
also rotate for too long, which is also really bad, right? Because then they'll push in the wave and you just lose a wave.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say, like focus on just trying to get mid lane uh,
Yeah.
pretty early on, like not before 10 minutes, obviously, but like
Mm-hmm.
if you get the tower, for sure, get out of mid bot lane. If you guys are winning hard, you should also focus, obviously, on getting drakes, right? Uh,
Yeah.
if your jungle is down for that. That kind of depends on the jungle state. So don't get triple killed and lose your lead.
Yeah. It has happened. Like definitely where we're like winning and then we've like I go help my jungle and then like maybe we get the dragon, but the Hecarim or whoever comes and kills all of us, and then it's just like,
That
oh
is not
crap.
worth it. Like it's pretty
Yeah,
much never worth to trade kills for an early Drake. Like one kill,
yeah,
fine, but don't trade two.
yeah. Um,
But yeah,
I think anything.
so like my main things at least would just be like focus on trying to figure out how to rotate. You can like watch some YouTube videos on it. Like I think
Mm,
at least next session this week that we're doing, we're gonna
mm,
we're gonna look up just a gameplay just to kind of show you visually like how to rotate better.
okay. Yeah, that I mean it would be
Uh,
helpful to at least see it.
you can also watch, like you say, watch Doublelift, try and pay attention to when he rotates mid.
Mm-hmm.
Try and like pay attention to when he's not in bot lane and figure out why. Don't just be like, oh, he's 7 minutes, he's not in bot lane, so 7 minutes in your
Yeah.
game you shouldn't doesn't mean
No,
you shouldn't be in
right.
bot lane.
Mm,
Uh, but figure out why he's rotating. You can also watch my streams, like I think I do it
mm,
pretty well too. Like
yeah.
it's really you can watch anyone really that's higher elo I would say.
Okay.
And just
Um.
try and understand like why and when to rotate and what's okay. So like a simple, I would say, way to understand when your mid laner is gonna say no is if it's like a mage, short range
Yeah, like
mage.
a
So like
Zerath or something.
yeah, like a Seraph, he does not like being in a solo lane because he gets
Yeah.
fucked too by assassins, and that's where you
Right.
might want to consider trying to get top lane or sieging mid with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like most mid laners, they're okay with going inside. Um, like I think they get really unhappy if you lost your tower and then you want them to go inside. That's where
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know about this one, chief.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, try to be at more fights. Like you really gotta work on. I would really say you gotta work on like kill participation. If you
Yeah, no,
wanna,
I agree.
and the only way you're gonna get that up is by having good rotations.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I mean, one thing that I don't know if you do, but I remember you didn't really do in the VOD is like, don't be afraid to like use your abilities to farm with when they're on the
Yeah.
tower and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I know you say you focus a lot on farming, but like averaging 6 minions per minute that's pretty low.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
So yeah, you should. I would say you should minimum have 7.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wouldn't like stress too much about it because I don't think it's like you having bad rotation on that. I think it's just you not last hitting it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
it's like focus on like getting good at last hitting while you are farming on the tower because farming on the tower with a champion like Jin is it's a bit difficult.
yeah. It is. It is. I mean, I think a lot of the times I just kind of autopilot my CS, and I don't like give it enough like actual mental thought. I just kind of do it, and I think like I feel like when I'm thinking about my minions, it's just hard because I don't want to put too much mental effort. But like, it's important that you get good farm. Because
Right.
like when I got a practice tool, if I'm like if that's my full attention, I can do it.
Right, but that's the thing is
Yeah,
farming should be on autopilot. That should never be your
exactly.
attention. The
Yeah,
only thing that should be attention considered wave wise is when you should push and when you shouldn't push and when you should freeze. That's something you can think about, yeah. But how to last
yeah,
hit, that should not even cross your mind. That should just be done.
right. So I think part of it's just getting into bad habits, like using like I don't know. I mean, like I I will say when I was showing you my games and I was the tower when aggro a minion, I would hit the entire different one. I That's like when I had my brain fully turned off. I don't know what I'm doing there because I understand like how to do it. I'm just like I don't know what is going through my head. So I'll
Yeah.
definitely work on it.
And I think like for the next session that we're gonna do this week, if you I assume you're gonna be playing a few
Hmm.
games every now and then here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want you to select the most meaningful game to you that you feel like is worth what reviewing. And then
Okay.
we'll review that game.
Okay.
And then we're just gonna focus on, whatever you feel like is the
Yeah.
thing we should focus on in the game. So it
Uh
can
huh.
really be anything. Like, it's
Yeah.
just whatever you feel like is worth paying attention to. Like, so it
Hmm.
can be a win or it can be a loss. It doesn't have to be.
All
It
right.
can be either. That's
Okay.
that's kind of like what I want you to do. So just
Okay.
play some games, try and focus. And do you write this down, by the way?
Like what I'm trying to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I have like a notepad where I like have that stuff with all of
Okay,
my
I'm just curious because like
Mhm.
one thing that you could do is have it on a second monitor while you play if you have two screens.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I do. So I mean honestly just I'll admit the first couple of games after we did our first session, I like had like our DM pulled up about your like goals. And just having that in itself was like helpful. Because like, okay, thinking about what items to buy, where the jungle is. Those are like just that small amount, but like I agree with you. So I'll
Right.
mhm.
I think that's good. That's something I've done a lot as well. It's like really, I think it's one of the best ways to implement new habits. Is like
Mhm.
having a note on your second screen or something, so you're constantly being reminded.
Yeah.
And obviously,
All
don't
right.
have anything like playing, no streams, no YouTube videos. Like you can have
Yeah.
music, fine, but don't
Yeah.
don't watch stuff. I would actually even
Oh
say
no.
don't listen to podcasts because that also takes attention away from
Yeah.
the game.
No, I only listen to music. Like I really can't I feel like I can't focus if I have things going on in the background. Like
Right.
when I'm
And I would also say like it goes also with being in a Discord call. That's also really
mm,
bad. Like when it comes to if you're really trying to climb. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I don't know if my friends happen to hear this. I definitely have been in Discords with them and like we're like hanging out, but I'll be realistic with myself. Like when I'm solo queuing and I'm not in like a voice call, I definitely am able to focus more. It just part of me feels bad, because I want to hang out with them, but I think that it's tough to make kind of separate the time because, um, like I value friendship, but also I want to make sure the time, whatever I'm putting in to my games, is like valuable.
Right.
And if
Like
it's
it, like
yeah,
I know League is like when you play to this kind of level, it's almost like it's not a game anymore because you're playing with so much
yeah,
focus and effort that it's
uh-huh,
like now it's not just about having fun, but now it's about I gotta do this and I gotta do this and it's like it feels
yeah,
like chores almost like
uh-huh,
and that's just what it takes to improve like so
mhm,
that's I think that's one of the biggest factors of if people are like willing to commit or not because like I think
Yeah.
most people know I should be looking at the minimap relatively often, but do they want to? No, because it's fucking boring. I just want to shoot minions and hit champs. You know, that's the
Mhm.
fun part. So that's kind of how like League is. Like you are for sure sacrificing things, and I'm not saying you can't climb while being in a Discord call. Like it's just
Yeah.
like if we're trying to hit diamond in 30 days, then I don't think it's the right thing to do. Like,
Okay. Hmm.
if you know what I mean, because
No, I
it's a
do.
really short time, and you know, as I said, I still
Yeah.
don't know if it's possible or not. I didn't expect you to really do anything this from the first session and the
Yeah.
second there. Like, I didn't expect you to be fucking plat one by tomorrow. Uh,
Yeah.
like I followed you op.gg, just curious,
Hmm. Yeah.
and you know, I'm not really seeing anything that I wasn't like surprised to see. Like, I'm just hoping
Hmm.
that this conversation will maybe push it a bit further,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the next time when we game review, which is hopefully later this week, then
Yeah.
we're gonna push it even like further
Okay.
from your
Yeah.
understanding.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, I think if I like implement all these things and I'm intentional about it, I'd like to get back to plat two. Like I haven't been any higher than that. I've only been like mid to lower plat two, but I think getting beyond that, like that's definitely where I know I'm gonna be challenged. Like if I'm playing as well as I should be,
Okay, I don't
but
think you should worry too much about like individual ranks because I'll be honest, I don't think there's that big of a difference between a plat 4 and a plat 1. Like
uh-huh.
I don't think the difference is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
There's
true. Mhm.
Yeah, I know like some people they like when they see higher ranks than they're used to, then they go kind of crazy. And I
Yeah.
won't lie, I'm kind of the same. Like when I had my games, and if I play like for example now at 3:30 a.m. Yeah, and
Mhm.
if I had accounted like 200 LP masters, there's a possibility that I get queued with like a rank 10 player. And that
Yeah.
shit like stresses me out too because now I'm like, oh shit, I gotta fucking
Yeah.
perform, especially if he's in my lane. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to
Yeah.
beat this guy's ass, you know. I'm just like, and then I just go fucking 0-10 because I put so much pressure on myself, and all I focus about
Yeah.
is him being ranked 10, and it's just like, yeah,
Uh,
okay, fuck
I
me
know.
already.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's definitely like I should think less of it as the divisions of plat rather than like the improvement. Like I get that, and that's why like I stopped. I used to like look at every single game. I would look at like the ranks of everybody, but I don't really do that anymore. Like I don't look at like who I'm playing against. Maybe I could. I don't know if that's helpful.
Do you look up who you're playing with?
Uh, some I do often, yes. Like I'll
Because
look
I mean,
up.
I don't know. Do you
Like,
ever dodge?
do I ever dodge? I definitely do dodge, but it's like usually it's if I get an off roll or like if I really have a bad feeling about like we have some like multiple people that are like 2-8 in their last 10 and they're off roll and it looks like they're just rage queuing. Like
Right.
I don't know
I think
how
it's
much I
just
should.
like I would say you should use your like if you say I don't know if you do this still, but you said last time that you played like around at least 5 games a day. Then I would say you
Yeah,
should use your dodge at least once a day. Like your
once
-3. Yeah, because
honestly.
five minus five, like there will be days where I don't need to use it. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I would say I pretty much use my dodge daily. Like
Okay.
I just like it
Yeah.
can be like really anything. It's often it's teammates. I just
Yeah.
look up their match history, and if someone is like 5 losses in a row and
Yeah.
they've been playing like shit, well I'm out. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really it. And
Okay.
yeah, if I know there's a
Yeah.
grief or something, then I'll just head
Hmm.
out because I don't think it's worth.
Yeah. Man, last night for the first time in a while that my client like it was weird. I clicked the accept button and it put me in champ select. But the accept or decline thing didn't go away, so like I had to dodge. It was That was just a super random thing. It doesn't happen often. I was kind of frustrated because like, oh man, I could use that -3 later, you know. Um,
Yeah. But your match
but it's
history
just
didn't go away?
what'd you say?
What what was didn't go away? Your match
Oh,
history?
okay, no. So like, you know when it pops up and it says accept
Oh
or
wait, that
decline for the
fair.
cube
Oh,
up?
what the fuck? I've never had that
Yeah, no,
glitch.
I'm not kidding you. I loaded into champ select, but like the sound and the Q pop, I like were just sitting on top of the client and it didn't go away. So I just like it made me dodge, like you know those random bugs. And I
Yeah.
have a good computer. It's not like a performance
No,
issue.
I think it's a client bug. Happens.
Yeah. I mean, that was literally the first time it happened. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, I'll try to use my monitoring more. I try. The thing is, I feel like I get filled so much that like I'll use it if nobody will let me go bot lane. But it kind of depends. So but I'll try to like keep it in mind to like if I'm really not feeling good about like my teammates,
Yeah.
or like yeah. So anyways, okay. Was that really all you wanted this to be? Is there anything else you wanted to besides like for next time?
No, because I was kind of thinking like, if it's the same week, I mean,
Yeah,
then it's probably gonna be either, like Friday or something that we can talk
yeah,
again.
yeah. Okay.
Um, so I
Hmm.
feel like I'll just give you once again. I like to give you some time to just process and try and work on things slowly,
Right.
little at a time, before we just move into more stuff. Because, like, if we just did it all at once, it would not do shit.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if we talked about what we talked about today and what I talked about last time, the thing is I would not even have come to the judgment of what, you just told me. Like I wouldn't have that opinion because I had
Exactly.
nothing to, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. So it's
um,
it's like it's a learning curve. And like I said, like I just want you to like think about a good game to review. You could review
okay.
it yourself even.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Right.
game you don't feel like you don't feel like you understood why you lost, or you understood why you
Mm-hmm.
won, or why you had fucking low damage or low kill
Mm-hmm.
participation, anything
Yeah.
really.
Okay.
And we can look
Sure.
at that game, and if we like come to nothing, maybe, or if you have like extra time, we could also look up your rotations in general. I think that might be a good
Yeah.
thing to look up too.
Okay.
uh, I'm gonna give you
Sure.
some time now to like work on your
Mm.
rotations, and then we see those rotations.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see the ones you have now, because I can almost guarantee I think you're rotating late out of lane. That would be my
Right.
biggest guess from just all of this.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no more questions, right?
Uh,
You don't have the
yeah.
force any.
Yeah, no, I'm just like there's so many things that come up in League, that I'm just trying to think if there's anything, but I asked most of what I wanted to ask. A lot of it's like
Yeah,
rotational
like I
stuff
also
and
think here, like from this, you should just focus on pink wards, rotation, because I think rotation in itself is huge in your gameplay.
no, for
Like,
sure, for
so I
sure.
just want you to work on that mainly in pink wards, and then
Hmm.
see where that takes you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
So
like purely based off of last week, I think it's a good baseline for what to work on, and it's still like, it's working and practicing, but to like add a little bit of layer to that, I think is great. So yeah, I think that's really it that I, have for today.
yeah, well, thanks. I think it was a good session. I enjoyed
Mhm.
it.
For
Uh,
sure, for sure.
Good luck in your games, man.
Thank you, and look forward to catching up next time. So.
Yep, same. I'll see you later. Bye.